Good morning. Oh, yeah, what a morning today so far. It's been cold and I have a doctor's appointment today. Woo! So it is Tuesday, October 3rd, another AA day. Um, this is something that I am passionate about and I love sharing uh, how I deal with life being sober. Because after all, I am a recovering alcoholic, and I know I need to work on myself every day. So, but let's see, we have Lily T here, and we have Life of Lucretia. Thank you for being here and supporting my channel, you two. It means a lot to me. Um, so one of my friends gave me these two bracelets, and I have yet to take them off. She made them special for me. Um, but yeah, I wanted to share that. Yes, Lily got a new puppy, so our prayers came true for that to be. It is a different dog, but it is a pretty cute dog. If you haven't seen it, go check out her shorts on her channel. The puppy is so cute. And so today is AA. Let's get into it, and y'all know what to do. Please, no judgment, no bullying, and no harassment. This is for positive things, not negative. And if you're going to be negative, you don't need to be here. But if you are struggling, or you have a family member or a friend struggling with alcohol or addiction, this is the right place for you. Um, I don't follow any books or anything. I just read out of the books and then I share how it makes me feel, because after all, we all have our own stories to tell. And I have found my courage and my voice to share my story and let people know that they're not alone. There are a lot of us that need the support and the friendships that we get from meetings, and me doing it here on YouTube is for those that can't get to meetings, but they still struggle with their addictions, and it's my passion to help. So, pass the word that I got for free. But anyways, let's get into it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, I always put in the description what page we're on, what story we're reading, and when I read the steps and traditions, I get them right here out of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. My book is dirty. You can tell it gets used. Um, but yeah, I know the steps by heart. I just use the book for getting me started on it, and I can't see with my glasses on to read. Crazy how that works, huh? Anyways, 12 steps. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to God. Turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. I got tongue tied on that part. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And that is what we do. So, we are on Jim's story in the big book on page 240. I went back to my mother's for a few days until things cooled off because the district attorney had put out a summons for me to come to see him in his office. A policeman came to the door and asked for James S., but there wasn't any James S. there. He came back several times. Within 10 days, I got locked up for being drunk, and this same policeman was in the station house as I was being booked. I had to put up a $300 bond because he was carrying the same summons around in his pocket for me. So I went down to talk to the district attorney, and the agreement we made that I would go home to stay with my mother, and that meant that Vi and I were separated. I continued to work and continued to go to lunch with Vi, and none of our acquaintances on the job knew that we had separated. Very often we rode to and from work together, but being separated really galled me deep down. The November following, I took a few days off after payday to celebrate my birthday on the 25th of the month. As usual, I got drunk and lost the money. Someone had taken it from me. That was the usual pattern. I sometimes gave it to my mother. Just a second, guys. Husband's on lunch. Okay. And then I'd go back and hound her for it. I was just about broke. I guess I had $5 or $10 in my pocket. Anyway, anyhow, on the 24th, after drinking all day, on the 23rd, I must have decided I wanted to see my wife and have some kind of reconciliation or at least talk with her. I don't remember whether I went by streetcar, whether I walked or went in a taxicab. The one thing I can remember now was that Vi was on the corner of 8th and L, and I remember vividly that she had an envelope in her hand. I remember talking to her, but what happened after that, I don't know. What actually happened was that I had taken a penknife and stabbed Vi 3 times with it. Then I left and went home to bed. Around 8 or 9 o'clock, there came 2 big detectives and policemen to arrest me for assault, and I was the most amazed person in the world when they said I had assaulted someone, and especially that I had assaulted my wife. I was taken to the station house and locked up. The next morning, I went up for arraignment. Vi was very kind and explained to the jury that I was basically a fine fellow and a good husband, but that I drank too much and that she thought I had lost my mind and should be committed to an asylum. The judge said that if she felt that way, he would confine me for 30 days. Examination and observation. There was no observation. There might have been some investigation. The closest I came to a psychiatrist during that time was an intern who came to take blood tests. After the trial, I got big hearted again and felt that I should do something in payment for Vi's kindness to me. So I left Washington and went to Seattle to work. I was there about 3 weeks and then I got restless and started to tramp across the country here and there until I finally wound up in Pennsylvania in a steel mill. I worked in the steel mill for possibly 2 months, and then I became disgusted with myself and decided to go back home. I think the thing that galled me was that just after Easter, I had drawn my salary for 2 weeks' work and had decided that I was going to send some money to Vi. And above all else, I was going to send my baby daughter an Easter outfit. But there happened to be a liquor store between the post office and the mill, and I stopped to get that one drink. Of course, the kid never got the Easter outfit. I got very little out of the 200 that I drew on that payday. I knew I wasn't capable of keeping the bulk of the money myself, so I gave it to the white fellow who owned the bar I frequented. He kept the money for me, but I worried him to death for it. Finally, I broke the last $100 bill the Saturday before I left. I got out of that bill one pair of shoes, and the rest of that was blown. I took the last of it to buy my railroad ticket. I'd been home about a week or 10 days when one of my friends asked if I could repair one of his electrical outlets, thinking only of $2 or $3 to buy some whiskey. I did the job, and that's how I met Ella G, who was responsible for coming into AA. I went to this friend's shop to repair his electrical outlet, and I noticed this lady. She continued to watch me, although she didn't say anything. Finally, she said, "Isn't your name Jim S?" I said, "Yes." Then she told me who she was. She was Ella G. When I had known her for years, she was rather slender, but at this time she weighed as much as she does now, which is up around the 200s or very close to it. I had not recognized her, but as soon as she said who she was, I remembered her right away. She didn't say anything about AA or getting me a sponsor at that time, but she did ask about Vi, and I told her Vi was working and how she could locate her. It was around noon, a day or two later, when the telephone rang. There it is. At it, and it was Ella. She asked me if I would let someone come up and talk to me considering a business deal. Get out of there. She never mentioned anything about my whiskey drinking, because if she had, I would have told her no right then. I asked her just that what this deal was, but she wouldn't say. She said he had some something of interest if you will see him. I told her that I would. She asked me one other thing. She asked me if I would try to be sober if I possibly could. Good morning, Ava. So I put forth some effort that day to try to stay sober. If I could, though, my sobriety was just a daze. About 7 that evening, my sponsor walked in, Charlie G. He didn't seem too much at ease in the beginning. I guess I felt, and he sensed it, that I wanted him to hurry up and say what he had to say and get out. Anyhow, started talking about himself. He started telling me how much trouble he had had, and I said to myself, I wonder why this guy is telling me about his troubles. I have troubles of my own. Finally, he brought in the angle of whiskey. He continued to talk, and I listened. After he talked half an hour, I still wanted him to hurry up and get out so I could go and get some whiskey before the liquor store closed. But as he continued to talk, I realized that this was the first time I had met a person who had the same problems I did, and who I sincerely and believe understood me as an individual. I knew my wife didn't, because I had been sincere in all my promises to her, as well as to my mother and to my close friends. But the urge to take that drink was more powerful than anything else. After Charlie had talked a while, I knew that this man had something in that short period he built within me, something that I had long since lost, which was hope. When he left, I walked with him to the streetcar line, which was just about a half a block, but there were two liquor stores, one on each corner from my home. I put Charlie on the car, and when I left him, I passed both those liquor stores without even thinking about them. The following Sunday. We met at Ella G's. It was Charlie and 3 or 4 others. That was the first meeting of a colored group in AA. So far as I know, we held some 2 or 3 meetings at Ella's home. From there, we held some 2 or 3 meetings at her mother's home. Then Charlie or someone in the group suggested that we try to get a place in a church or hall to hold meetings. I approached several ministers, and all of them thought it was a very good idea, but they never relinquished any space. So finally, I went to the YMCA, and they graciously permitted us to use a room at $2 a night. At that time, we had our meetings on Friday nights, of course. It wasn't very much of a meeting in the beginning. Most of the time, it was just Vi and myself. But finally, we got one or two to come in and stick, and from there, of course, we started to grow. I haven't mentioned it, but Charlie, my sponsor, was white. And when we got our group started, we got help from other white groups in Washington. They came, many of them, and stuck by us and told us how to hold meetings. They taught us a great deal about 12-step work together. Indeed, without their aid, we couldn't possibly have gone on. They saved us endless time and lost motion. And not only that, but they gave us financial help. Even when we were paying that $2 a night, they often paid it for us because our collection was so small. At this time, I wasn't working. Vi was taking care of me, and I was devoting all my time to the building of that group. I worked at that alone for 6 months. I just gathered up this and that alcoholic because in the back of my mind, I wanted to save all the world. I had found this new something and I wanted to give it to everyone who had a problem. We didn't save the world, but we did manage to help some individuals. That's my story of what AA has done for me. I get emotional because that's exactly what it has done for me. Life being sober has bad days, it has good days. The same as what it would be if you were drinking, only thing you're doing it sober and you're having your real feelings instead of fake ones because when you're drunk, your emotions are going haywire, which is a big problem because you don't know what you're saying to your friends and your family and strangers. You don't know if you were rude or if you did something stupid like he did uh with that pin thing. Um so when people ask how do you stay sober, that's what I tell them is I work my program and I do my steps. I do my steps every day. Lay down in everything that I do. And Copper's here comforting me because, of course, I have tears, but he's my comfort. Um, for me, my sobriety is worth more than anything. And yes, I'm very selfish about it because it's my part of my life and my story, and nobody else can tell it. And so that's how I tell people um things about my story. Maybe it will help someone, and that's what AA has taught me is open up about it because there are others. You're not the only one. It's scary. I know it's scary. I've been there. I was a newcomer and I didn't tell my story very often um, to anyone. And I don't even think my friend that got me to go to AA for the first time knows everything I've been through. But, I have found inside of myself from having the steps and the traditions to help me through it, to help me get past all of those failures and the bad days of my alcoholism. Um, it helps me also to remember what I was like. And it reminds me every day that I don't want to be that person. I don't want to go back to that. And I have to keep thinking that every single day because you never know when you're going to have that feeling of, oh, I want to go have a drink, which, you know, for me, I don't even think those right now. I'm not going to say I never do or I never have, but I don't right now. I know I used to dream about drinking and I would wake up scared because I didn't want to drink and I would think that I had. So I don't have those anymore. Um, but I am also very, very aware of my surroundings. And when I know that there is alcohol around, I always remind myself no, don't take that first drink. Just don't do it. Walk away. And if you feel stuck, make sure you have a way out. Um, you got to have a way to get away from the pushers and all of that because, yeah, there's those out there too that want to push the alcohol on you, which it doesn't help. So, like when I got sober the first time, I did that with no help. I did it because I wanted it. And then I thought, a year later, okay, I can go ahead and drink. Wrong. That was stupid. Because I went right back down that path again of going back to where I had just come from. Getting up and drinking in the morning, drinking all day long. I couldn't even keep track of how much I drank or what I drank. And then I moved away from my family, my friends, and I was off grid for 6 months. And I did drink for the first couple months, but it wasn't every day at that point. And so I was just like, I really need to stop and look inside myself and get myself out of this mess because I'd done it before. I'd gotten out once before. So I needed to do it again. And I did it again. And then a friend of mine is like, you need to come to AA. Meet me at AA. And I was like, okay. And I I got a sponsor like the day after my first time going to a meeting. And I now have two sponsors and I have a bunch of sponsees. And any way that I can help someone with you know talking to them about staying sober and what helps, and because I know there's those stressful days and everything, where you're like, well, this is happening and this I'm gonna think about going to drinking. um I don't want to see people suffering because I know what it's like to be there. And yeah, I'm coming up on 9 years. I'll be 9 years next month. And I could not have done it without meetings or the support that I have. I have my family, I have my friends, I have great friends now. This dog is going crazy. What is your problem? Is Mike back? Where's Mike? Mike? What are you doing? He's sitting here going, I think he needs out. Please. Anyways, sorry guys. But yeah, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own faults. Everybody has issues. We're not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I'm far from it. And but
The only thing I forgot at Walmart.
huh?
The only thing I forgot at Walmart.
What?
Sugar.
Sugar.
And plus, I kind of wanted it to be in its own bag anyway, so I could wrap it up in the bag so it didn't get wet.
He always forgets something, like his mom. But yeah, so being sober, it's a daily thing. Um I just wake up and I know I'm blessed because I'm here. I'm alive. I'm sober. Uh I am not perfect by any means, and um I'm just very grateful for having the tools that I've got for free, um, to be able to share and have my voice back. Because when I was drinking, my voice was, um, get me the alcohol. That's all it was. And that when you're in the drink mode like that, it is a vicious circle that is, you know, you run out of money, you do stupid stuff that you may not even remember, like making a telephone call and saying, hey, you're blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, but uh, thank you, Lucretia, you too. But, anyways, yeah, sobriety life, it's worth it. It is very much worth it. And I'm gonna get this app on my phone. Well, I have the app already, but I'm going to pull up my steps and traditions. It shows you, or my daily reflections, anyways. It shows you your sobriety date, your months and days. So mine says 8 years, 10 months, 18 days, or 3,244 days total. And I go in here and I'm gonna read the daily reflection for today. Lay down. Thank you. So it's October 3rd. Serenity after the storm. Someone who knew what he was talking about once remarked that pain was the touchstone of our of all spiritual progress. How heartily we all AA can agree with him. That's 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 93 and 94. When on the roller coaster of emotional turmoil, I remember that growth is often painful. My evolution in the AA program has taught me that I must experience the interchange, however painful, that eventually guides me from selflessness to selflessness. If I am to have serenity, I must step my way past emotional turmoil and its subsequent hangover and be grateful for continuing spiritual progress. Yep. So what we were just saying, it's it is, but it, doing your steps is worth it. And it, when you first start, it's gonna be hard because you never want to admit even to yourself sometimes the things that you have done. Um, but once you get through that, um, you just learn. My screen just went black. That was weird. But anyways, so it's worth every day, the good and the bad. Being sober is worth it. But anyways, y'all, I have a doctor's appointment today. It's gonna take me about an hour to get there. Woohoo! Um, yeah, it's not even in my town, so I have to travel quite a ways to go to see my doctor. Um, it's for diabetes, so I'm gonna be working on me and getting my sugar stuff figured out and get my oh, your screen does that once in a while. That's the first time I've ever had that happen. It was weird. I was like black. I was like, what? My screen's gone. I went into the abyss. But and I smile a lot more now. And it's great being sober. So great. You get to see all kinds of wonderful things through clear eyes without the goggles on. And it's pretty amazing. And I hope you all are blessed and sober and having a wonderful day. And I'm going to get off of here and get ready for my doctor's appointment. And I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a and stable, safe and stable. Have a safe and wonderful day. And we're going to close out with the Serenity Prayer. It is very contagious, Ava. And I'm going to go watch your giggle video here in a minute. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys.